Patience to be still the key word. I think they are concerned about low inflation, but meanwhile, we've got the job market doing great. The data's gotten a bit better. The stock market trading near all-time highs. So that mix says, let's wait and see how the smoke clears. And the deeper question is, are these forces weighing down inflation something that they can address? Would a rate cut do anything about that low inflation?
It's the most fascinating thing, Paul, because just like she said, we've had much better data. The markets are now back at all-time highs. Patience would seem like the last thing they should be right now, except that every time you get one of these inflation reports, it's kind of surprisingly low.
The low inflation is an existential issue for the Fed. The Phillips curve has broken down.
Yeah.
So we have sturdy growth. We have low inflation. We have the market now discounting Fed easing. Mm-hmm. And if they were to ratify that rhetorically, not obviously literally, but rhetorically, the market's going to explode.
If they
like
talk
a rocket?
About rate cuts, you're saying.
Exactly. So I think they will use the word patience a lot.
Yeah.
With patience being symmetric.
Yeah.
So they'll press the notion of symmetric.
Right.
We're not going to be hiking and we're not going to be cutting is the message they want to get across.
But how did they go from raising rates 4 times last year to saying we're not going to do any? What changed so dramatically? Is it the inflation picture?
I think there are 2 things. Number one, they got Wall Street's attention big time in the 4th quarter, which tightened up financial conditions.
Was that a mistake?
I don't think it was a mistake. I think they wanted to get to neutral, and they knew neutral when the market basically said, you're at neutral. So they listened to the market as well as listened to their own internals because they had gotten to neutral, and then the market exploded on them. So I don't think they want to fuel another big leg up in the marketplace. But at the same time, they want to acknowledge that their models of inflation have broken down. And in fact, they're having a major strategic review about that right now.
Exactly.
So that's the existential issue. They just need to get through this rhetorically today.
But Julia, in a way, at least they're showing the flexibility to say, okay, instead of sticking with the models and what should happen and all of this stuff we've been trained, at least we're going to be flexible enough to say, okay, maybe the market is right here. Maybe this is neutral.
Right.
We don't know why it's not responding, but it's not responding, so we're not going to go any further.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And remember, the other element of the pivot was the global slowdown and a lot of policy risks that are still there. I mean, the trade issues, the Brexit issues, the uncertainty, that's still very present and could weigh on the economy as the year evolves. So that hasn't completely gone away. But yes, they are trying to dive deep and figure out these inflationary issues and how is it best to address them. I don't think it's a near-term issue. It's a medium-term issue for them to really evaluate.
Oh, yeah. This is what makes the discussion about Trump, what the president is saying and his nomination to the Fed so interesting because, in a way, even though Steve Moore himself is controversial and political, even though it's unheard of for a president to be tweeting you should cut rates by a point, the conversation you're having is that idea actually might be right, and the Fed itself is considering what to do now. So it's just ironic that the outrage about what's happening on the political side of it actually is kind of separate because the substance of the discussion is
in line.
Right here.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
that's a fair point. That's a fair point. And I think the issues with Moore's nomination are partly, because he is more overtly partisan, and it's sort of a test of Congress's authority to keep a check and an independence of the Fed. And so far, it looks like his nomination is in trouble, and that the Congress is going to decide that, there are certain standards. You do have to exhibit a certain independence of thought to serve on the board.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're going to get Congress doing its job and serving as a check and balance.